Well, the wife went to court. The husband didn't want to do any of that wacko stuff. She was being taught by other people about the signature, paid off the debt, and I just laughed. I said, no, a creation of man by the acceptance of another man, accepting that creation, that paper note or that IOU, if he believes it's worth $1 million and you believe it's worth $1 million, then it is $1 million. Because it's a fiat currency we have. It's all based on faith. So she was trying to say, well, I signed a piece of paper and I paid it off in full. I said, that's ridiculous. You signed a piece of paper and you said that this piece of paper is worth $1 million if you live up to the terms and conditions of the contract, of the agreement. If you don't live up to the terms and conditions of the contract, of the agreement, then obviously it's not worth anything. It just makes me laugh, and people like, well, I signed this, the house is paid off in full, it's $1 million. The bank took that note and sold it immediately. They made money. And we don't even have the original lender anymore. I said, it doesn't matter. It's the holder in due course rule. Just because you needed $1 million and you were going to give me an IOU, like a mortgage or a loan note, I said, nah, I don't want an IOU. I don't want a mortgage written out between you and me. I don't want a loan contract written out. I said, just give me that diamond ring. I'll hold that diamond ring. That's worth $1 million. I'll hold the diamond. So say I lent it out to the guy for $1 million, and he built a house or whatever with it, the money that I gave him for the diamond ring. And then I took that diamond ring and I said, hey, I'm getting hard up for cash myself. I think I overextended myself. Or I said to myself, hey, I just loaned the money to Donald Trump, and he's going to pay me back at 20% interest a year. This note, over 20, 30, 40 years, this is actually worth $10, $20 million, this $1 million note, or this IOU that he gave me, or this diamond ring, is actually going to be worth a lot more money, in 5, 10, 20 years. So I could either sell it immediately for what the face value, or I could sell it if somebody's willing to go ahead and more than what it's worth. So it's just basically trying to explain to the husband or wife, what was going on with the holder in due course. So if you wrote out for a mortgage or a loan, you're chasing the note. You're constantly chasing the note then now. I said, because if you gave me a diamond ring, and I turned around and I gave it to Jeff, and Jeff turned around and gave it to Al, when you're all done in 10, 20, 30 years, whenever that agreement was, that contract, that loan, that mortgage was written out for, however long that was the terms of the agreement, or you wanted to pay it off sooner, you expect to get that note back. And I kind of lost the husband at that point. I said, you never seen mortgage burning parties, like note burning parties? And he's like, no. I said, well, these people were from Iran, like Persians, Iraq, Iran. So these people are Iranian. It was funny. I said to them, as I was telling the story, I said, okay, what's your folks' name? It was like Ishmaeli Ibada, and the other lady was Mansida Ubada. I said, okay, your name is Bob and you're Mary. Okay, Bob and Mary. Okay? I don't care what your names are, honestly. I just, wanted to, have something to reference you to with. I said, so let me explain it to you, Bob. I said, you want your diamond ring back. You want your note back. He says, I want my note back. What do I want my note back? I said, okay, you want your diamond ring back someday, right? He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, you want your note back. So if you wrote your name on a mortgage payment, if you wrote your name on a loan, that's very valuable because somebody who picks that note up can chase you around and collect on that note because it's an IOU. It's an IOU note. So you don't want that IOU note to keep biting you in the behind for the rest of your life. When you pay off the $1 million you owe me, you expect me to get back your ring and give you back your ring. And you don't give a damn what I've done with it for the last 20, 30, 40 years, how I made money on it or traded it or exchanged it. But at the end of that 20, 30 years, you want it back. So I said, how you could basically do it, if you people want to cheat, steal, and just not pay back your debt, which 99% of the people who listen to my show want to do, they don't want to pay back. They're trying to get something for nothing. I said, you just chase the note. And you just say, wait a second, why should I keep paying you call for my diamond ring when I know you don't even have it anymore? Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. You just keep paying it. You agreed you'd pay it. Here's the piece of paper. You give me a diamond for $1 million. And at the end of the, just keep paying it. They said, yeah, but you also read the agreement that when I'm done paying it, I want it back. Nobody knows, like I said, like a mortgage burning party. I said, why don't you just Google it? I'm sure I've never Googled it myself, but I know it exists and I know it's real. And I said, it was funny because they were from Iran. I said, this is what us white people used to do all the time, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, when banks started to become prevalent. Once we paid off the note, we said to the bank, yay! Took the last coupon out of the book, gave it to the bank teller. The bank manager went to the vault, got out the mortgage, got out the note, handed it back to us. We took it home. We burnt it. We didn't stick it on a wall and frame it. We didn't put it in our filing cabinet for memory, for keepsake. No, we burned it because we knew if somebody else found that IOU, they could go around and say, hey, you ain't never paid on this. So you never paid on this IOU. It's like you're finding an IOU on the ground. I owe you $5 million. Signed Karl Lentz. The guy could use it against me. He said, well, I never collected a dime from Karl. Well, I never gave you that note. Oh, no? Then how did I get it? This is a security instrument. It's very valuable. You mean somebody just left it laying on the ground? So the court would look in favor of the man who actually is holding the note. So to explain to the people, the big thing is you want to chase that note. Go get that note. Go get the original security document because that thing's worth a lot of money. It's either worth, if it was written out to Donald Trump, it's worth a lot of money. If it's written out to just some poor, like they were doing a scam, bringing all these people from West Africa over, Senegal, where they were bringing people from East Africa, they were bringing people from all over just to have a warm body, occupy a house, and sign a piece of paper, back in 2003, 2004. It's worthless because they would judge that piece of paper based on that person's credit rating. Like Donald Trump's credit rating might be extremely high. So if he writes a note, if he writes out a loan at 20, 30% interest, he's going to pay it back. The odds of him paying it back are great. But if they wrote out a paper note to you, let's say somebody who's got a 500 credit score, obviously that note's not going to sell for as much money depending on who the debtor is. That's why the credit rating is so important, how much the bank can sell your note for. So it's just a lot of fun explaining to them, you're wasting your time with all this ridiculous nonsense, signature and money and, all these YouTube guru nonsense. Saying, once you write paper, all your debts have been paid for forever. No. It's just that if you signed an IOU to me, and I believe, based on my faith, that you're going to be a good, honorable person, pay me back, I'll give you, 5,000 bricks so you can build your house. You give me a worthless IOU piece of paper, then I'm not going to give you those. If I don't think your word's any good, then you're never going to pay me back. Why should I? So there was two ways we explained how they do. Chase the note around for a while, go after the note, because you want it back. Say, look, I got the money sitting in the back of my pickup truck. I'm ready to pay it off. Are you ready to give me the note? Something simple like that. And then I said to them, if you want to, I said you could go after the representative of this financial institution that believes you owe the debt. I said, do you have any proof that this man, what his name is, Bob Foley, has been assigned this matter, the collection of a debt on behalf of whatever, say Bank of America. I said, just because he said he's a representative doesn't mean he is. Well, he wears a three-piece suit and tie. He can't possibly be lying. He doesn't look like you, Carl. He's dressed really nice. So why would he lie? He's charming. It's like, yeah. I said, the only problem with that is if you owe me money and this guy finds out on the internet and he runs through like the hot sheets or, spreadsheets or who owes who what, who has been late on a payment or delinquent on a debt. I'm sure they got all kinds of information like that available on the internet, the debt collectors. Who would you like to collect on my behalf, So some man might have just found it and said that, oh, Angelo owes Carl money. Oh, good. I'm going to go to Angela and file a lawsuit against her on Carl's behalf. Where's Carl? I don't know. Carl's in Canada. Carl's in India. Carl's in a coma for 6-7 years. Who knows? Carl's dead. Whatever. So, but you get this representative saying, I represent Carl, and he found out that you owed me $100,000. He's going to start putting the heat on you and bring you to court and saying, I'm Carl's representative, and this is how much you owe, and this, you paid him this much, and you still owe him $100,000, and I'm acting on his behalf. All you got to do is say, oh, bull, you're full of crap. I don't believe you. Why? Because I don't see, anything from Carl giving you power of attorney to act on his behalf to collect on the debt. So why don't you go get something from Carl saying that I'm acting as a power of attorney to collect on the debt? I said, the lady showed me like this, case file that they had going on. I said, do you have anything in that case file that supports that man, Bob Foley, is an acting agent other than his word that he's an acting agent? Do you have anything from Bank of America? And even if you have a letter from Bank of America letterhead, did you call up Bank of America and fax the paperwork over and said, Bob Foley says he's acting on Bank of America's behalf? Is this the Bank of America that he's actually works for? Is Bank of America also the name of a lock and key company, and they make banks? What other kinds of banks of America are there in the United States? Is he actually truly your agent that could act on your behalf? And if all that stuff comes up, yep, he is. It's like, good. Now, who set this agent upon me? Who told this agent to do this? Who's the one who gave him that, like the order to go collect on his debt? I want to talk to that man, because I want to find out from that man what the damages were for me failing to pay on that debt. What has the Bank of America accrued a loss? And don't just show me a spreadsheet. You have to show me some sort of tangible, actual damage. You can't just say, oh, well, she hit my car and she gave me, she broke my leg. Okay. Where's the dented car? Well, she did hit it, Well, okay, where's the damage? Well, the leg is severely hurts. Well, we're not going to give you any money for a car that doesn't look like it's been hit, and a leg that doesn't look like there's a scratch on it. So, can you show us an actual loss that your company has incurred due to my inactions or my actions? Can you show me? Can you prove it in court? Well, no. So can you prove that that is even true? Well, you have to know. So like I said, that's just what we were doing today. We were killing some time doing that. It was too damn hot, actually, to go outside and work today. It was like 90-some degrees. So I said to Jeff here, I said, hey, man, let's go to Washington. I got to pick up an oven anyway out there, and got to meet this couple anyway. And that way we could kill some time, get out of the heat. And then the lady told me while we were at some Mexican restaurant, hey, man, don't you got to do answer the show tonight? I said, oh, man, I forgot all about it. It's already 7 o'clock. Oh, well. So I'm going to be driving on the road, doing a call from the road. I said, oh, well. I said, I'll just sit around and try to figure out, what to do when I get on a call. But that's basically what we were doing, helping those people with the foreclosure. And, we were talking about even like the man you had on last week, the Peter Hendrickson guy. And I said, I'm very surprised that I'm the only one, because I didn't hear anybody in your show, who uses the internet to find out who your guests are. I mean, I've had people Google me, and they said Paul saying the same stuff he said when he had an AOL account back in 1997. Paul saying the same stuff. Like, Paul hasn't changed. Same smart alecky remarks, the same beliefs, the same way to deal with the law, same way to deal with... It's like, this guy's, he hasn't changed one bit. Like, nope, same spiel. It's pretty simple, to keep it simple. But that Peter Hendrickson, if you actually Google him, and you see how many times he's been arrested or been put in jail, and that his wife's been arrested now, and she's in jail, I'm like, okay, you might be the world's greatest code decipherer for the tax code, but somebody like him doesn't want to believe that the United States, I think it's Title 26 of the tax code, or, do you understand that the United States tax code can be revised at any time? And all these codes that you're studying and mastering, and like the back of your hand, they could just take Title 27 and make it Title 26, make Title 26, 27, 29, 52. They could just, and now what? All those years of studying, all that tax code stuff, they just rearranged the whole entire tax code. They came up with all new revisions. And like I said, people with the 1099 OID were getting in big trouble because at one time they said if you're a contractor, and then whatever the Lynch and Trout crowd were doing, the IRS changed it to employee. So people were filing what they believed was a 1099 form for contractors, but the IRS had changed the code to not read contractors anymore, but to read employees. So everybody who was filing it under whatever the Lynch and Trout way that he learned in 1999 was no longer applicable by 2005 because they changed the code a little bit. So everybody was filing false returns because they just changed that one word. That's when I went to go help that Indian guy, Jake, up in Saskatchewan. Yeah, I think it's Saskatoon, up there in Canada. That he was actually going to jail for 7 months because I brought a man up there with me. The man drove me up there. He's a very smart man, the smartest man I met in Canada. Oh, what was his the name? Graff. Graff was his last name. I'm trying to remember his first name. But Mr. Graff, he was 65 years old. I couldn't believe why Jake was going to jail. So I read the case against Jake from CRA. And I couldn't believe it. I said to Jake, where's the order of the court? He says, there is no written order of the court. I said, how did you file an appeal? Because I was reading the whole entire case file. It was massive. And we were exhausted because we had to drive all the way from British Columbia to Saskatoon. And you probably don't realize, it's like driving from California to St. Louis. We were exhausted. It was a winter time, and the one guy's truck that brought us there broke down, so it was a hell of a ride. So we were exhausted. So I'm thinking this guy, Jake, is totally effing with me, because Dean Clifford was out there like a week or a month before I was. So I said, what did Dean Clifford do for you? And his friend who came out there, he says, oh, Dean Clifford was just chasing skirt. He was just chasing some guy's daughter around all weekend. He didn't help me do any damn thing. He's like, he didn't read this case file. He's like, no. I said, okay. So I'm reading the case file, and I said to the guy, the only thing actually that I see here is the word employee instead of contractor, and I couldn't believe it. I said, there's no way in the world they convicted this man over this. So I said, dude, if you're hiding something from me, were you charged with gun possession or raping kids or something? There's got to be something more here than this one word. He's like, well, he said, that's the entire case file. I said, I can't believe this. So I called the other man over. I said, look, I want you to read this whole case file. It's massive. I'm just going to give you this, 2 pages that leads up to this words. What do you read here? And he read it. And he's like, I just see where he made an error where the code went from contractor to employee. I said, because I didn't give him a hint. The other man was in another room talking to some Indian guys, and so he had no idea what I was looking at. So he came to the same conclusion I did. I said, this is ridiculous. Are you trying to tell me that this man's going to jail for 7 months because he filed a 1099 OID and it went from employee to contractor to employee? This is ridiculous. I said, well, when Dean and his friend was up here, they helped you be appealed? Like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, can I see the order of the court? I said, I don't see it here. He says, order of the court. I said, yeah, the order of the court. You had a ruling against you in this tax court, whatever, right? Where's the order of the court? Where's the ruling? He says, there isn't one. I said, look, don't F with me because you can't file it. You need case file, you need the transcript, you need to file the brief, and you need to file the order because you're appealing the order. You're appealing what the order says. You go to jail or you pay a fine. You're appealing the order. And they help you with an appeal. Yeah. But you don't have an order. Yeah. You can't file an appeal. Okay, the appellate court can't look, or they can't start the appellate process, the appeal process, until you have an order, something to appeal. What are you appealing? You're appealing that you don't want to go to jail, right? Yeah, well, that's what you got to appeal. Where's the order? And he said, there is no order. I said, don't F with me. And I was getting pissed. By then it was like Sunday morning. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. We were driving all day Saturday. And I was just really pissed. And I said, look, I'm going to bed. I said, Monday morning, we're going to call that court clerk. I'm going to call the prosecutor, and I'm going to get a damn copy of that court order. I said, you're hiding something on me. There's no way in the world that they're possibly putting a man in prison for 7 months without a court order. There's no way. He said, what do you mean? I said, if you get hurt or slip or fall down and get injured in that prison, in that jail, without an order for you to be there, if you just walked in and there's no reason for you to be there in writing, I said, they could be liable for the sky's the limit. So when we called up, and Monday morning, the prosecutor said, no, there's no order, but Jake was in court that day and heard the judge clearly say that he had to turn himself in on Tuesday. Are you telling me Jake isn't going to turn himself in on Tuesday? I said, oh, no. He's going to honor his side of the commitment, of the agreement, of turning himself in. Oh, no, he doesn't need you guys to come blasting through his French provincial doors again, all 8 of them, and none of them are ever locked because this is a bed and breakfast up here, but you just had to put on a show and break 8 doors for no good reason where you could just turn the handle and walk on in. No, he's going to turn himself in. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday to turn himself in. But we were just wondering what the order specifically said he must do at what time, because I'm going to drop him off, and I don't know if I'm supposed to drop him off at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I said, there's no order. And he said, well, he just needs to be here at 8. I said, ma'am, where is it in writing? And she said, are you a lawyer or something like that? I said, no, ma'am, I'm just his friend. I'm just here to help. And she said, this phone call is over. So there was no order. They put Jake in jail. So we got some very interesting paperwork going extremely quickly, and they, faxed it to every single minister, every, official in Canada they could do before 5, 6 o'clock in the morning when we had to get ready to drive him to jail to start serving a sentence. This is what I'm trying to say is the other lady said that they had a foreclosure against her today, but there's no judgment. I said, what do you mean there's no judgment? There's no judgment. The judge just gave the bank to the financial institution that claimed I owe the debt. So you lost the house. Yes. Okay. Can I see the judgment? There is no judgment. How can you people not know, like the simple process that, okay, they gave it to the financial institution. They told you to get out. But where's the order for you to evict or vacate? Where's the order that, the ruling or the judgment that you lost? I said, because they wanted me to help them try to get compensation, like on the equity side. I said, I got to have something to work with here. I got to have a judgment, how much they were awarded the other side. And they were like, there isn't one. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. So like I said, with that Peter Hendrickson guy, this stuff was ridiculous. If he understood just the simple basic elements of moving a court, he wouldn't be so terrified of dealing with the courts. So, like I said, when he was saying, oh, it'll never work, it'll never work, it'll never work. Okay, it happened for Gus, it worked for this man, okay, it happened a couple of dozen times, but it'll never work again. We have to start a revolution. We got to start petitioning. We got to start, writing to our congressman. It's like, why don't you just learn the rules of court? Why are you trying to crack the code when you should be learning how to crack the courts and just follow the procedures of the court rules and understand what you're doing? Of course, I couldn't log in last week. I was probably driving. And I listened to the replay of the show, and he kept saying, file a motion. And I was like, file a motion? File a motion where? In their court? They don't care. You're not an attorney. It's like people have heard it a million times. like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The judge is the 800-pound gorilla, and the attorneys and the lawyers are all terrified. And if the lawyers and the attorneys are terrified, you don't even have the same standing or status of an attorney or a lawyer, and they're terrified because the 800-pound gorilla doesn't give a damn what they got to say either. So what makes you think that the judge is really going to care about your ridiculous legal connotations or what your deciphering of the code is? He's going to care less. And that's why I put it on my webpage when the person made a motion up there in Ohio, this couple up there in Ohio, they wrote some fantastic legal paperwork, and I highlighted it saying that the judge said that I don't see where you're licensed attorneys in the state of Ohio, so even though you made multiple legal conclusions and they might all be correct and accurate, I'm going to have to deny you at this time. He was basically saying, please submit it through an attorney because we're not going to accept anything from you. So I can't see where there'd be any benefit to writing anything in a legal manner, in a legal proceeding, when they're going to just take a look. Are you a good standing, member of the bar? Are you a member of the bar? No. Okay, well then honestly, we don't see anything, we don't understand anything you're doing. Because when a member of the bar says this is the way it is, the judges all have the belief that the attorney actually did his job and actually did not modify a ruling or modify a citation or didn't twist or manipulate it. He didn't find it on Google, like he actually went to a book and opened up a West key and actually said, oh, okay, you actually, know what you're doing, and you actually pull it from the proper sources. You didn't pull it from Wikipedia. So we don't have to double check. When a lawyer says it, we just take him at face value, take him at his word. Because if he gets caught, we're going to disbar him. If you get caught, what are we going to do? Hold you in contempt? And you're going to say, oh, I don't know, I got it off of Wikipedia. I got it off of some guy named Karl Lentz's website. I got it, I thought it was like Pete Hendrickson. I thought it was true. Yeah, right. You didn't get it off of Westlaw, did you? No. Okay, well, you know what? You're wasting our time. And we don't have better things to do than read what you believe is a proper citation or a proper quote from a Supreme Court case. Or say like a Roe versus Wade. Everybody always gets that wrong. They think it has something to do with abortion. So you're citing cases like Hale versus Hinkle that had to do with a fruit, vegetable, import-export company that has absolutely nothing to do with a man. It had what rights does a corporation have, not what rights does a man have. And you guys all use that ridiculous case with a fruit and vegetable produce distributor in New York, to whether or not you should have to turn over his records when he was being questioned for it. First was a banana import. Now the New York State Attorney wanted all his records for apples, oranges, everything. And he's like, no, I'm not playing this. It's going to take me 3 years to get all these documents together. The fruit question is bananas. I'm going to give you every damn thing with bananas, but I'm not giving you everything else. It's going to take us 20 years to get all the files together. And the attorney was trying to say, tough, you're a corporation. We created you. You have to do what we tell you to do. So that was basically giving legal lawful status to a corporation, saying no, they are afforded the same rights as a man, because a man is behind that corporation, and the impact on a corporation is also having an impact on a man. Same thing with Roe versus Wade. Everybody thinks it's about abortion. So a whole bunch of good Christians all get together all the time, and they try to protest it every year, Roe versus Wade Day. We got to overturn Roe versus Wade. And Roe versus Wade, Roe, it was a civil matter. That's why it wasn't Jane Doe. It was Jane Roe, because it's a civil matter, not criminal. She petitioned that the government is to have no business in her affairs when it comes between her and her doctor. Whatever her and her doctor wish to discuss is to remain in the private. It is not to be public acknowledgement. It is not to be in the public. I go to my doctor and I expect him to keep my business and my problems secret, like a priest or a lawyer. I expect confidentiality. And the United States government was saying, no, when you go into a doctor's office, you should have full access to every damn thing you people are talking about. Like Obamacare. That's what Obamacare is. You lost the right to privacy. So everybody's saying we got to get Roe versus Wade overturned. I say, what do you think Roe versus Wade is about? They always say it's about abortion. It's like, no, it's about the right to privacy. So all you million or billion good Christians are stampeding the streets saying overturn Roe versus Wade. And if the Supreme Court says, okie dokie, we overturned it, next thing you know, the government is not only in the doctor's office, they're going to be in the dentist's office, they're going to be in your school with your teachers, they're going to be in all your matters of private affair. So you want to eliminate the right to privacy in the United States. Is that what you're trying to say? You want the government involved in all of our private actions? Like, well, no. Well, that's what the lady was fighting for. She wasn't fighting for the right to have an abortion. She was fighting for the right to deal with this, whatever situation's going on in her body, and to be kept private, not to be exposed to the public, which was a wonderful thing she did. The abortion was insane what she did, but the cause that she was fighting for was privacy, was wonderful. Now, some people say she was fighting for abortion rights. No, she wasn't. She was fighting for the right to keep my business private. People like I said, the Peter Hendrickson guy realized what he was fighting for and how to fight through the courts and move the courts. He'd say, holy cow, all this code stuff is all ridiculous and it's all nonsense. Why am I studying all this stuff? Why am I writing this ridiculous cracking the code book that's 5,000 pages long, other than, because he's got nothing better to do. Because, like I say, those codes have nothing to do with me. Because anytime you just wish to no longer volunteer, like Harry Reid said, when that guy interviewed him, says on income tax is voluntary. He said, absolutely. He said, well, if I don't pay my income taxes, I go to jail. He says, you're damn right you will. And the guy kept asking, but they're voluntary. Absolutely. Once you volunteer to do something, it's like, okay, like in Vietnam, they say, who wants to volunteer and take point? Well, guess what happens? You're probably going to die. Well, who told you to volunteer? Well, peer pressure? Or you wanted to show that you were brave? Or what? Well, the guy who did it, he's like, stuck his neck out. Okay, well, now you're going to get, whacked. So if you volunteer to intercourse with the IRS, or you volunteer to pay $20 to some woman to have sex with, and you come back with some sort of disease, or you come back, who told you to do what you did? Who told you to pick up that paper, pen, and ink and intercourse with them? Who told you how to deal with the devil? Whoever told you, like, oh, well, let's work with them, and everything's going to be all right. It's like I was going on here last week, or whatever the hell I was going on, when you said, oh, well, that's it, good night, call. When I was going on saying about bankers, when you guys go to borrow money, you go to the bank. And then when you get behind the times, which you always do, you guys like, well, it's not fair that, we should have to give back our ski mobiles, our car, our house, just because we can't pay for them. Just because we can't pay for them doesn't mean we shouldn't keep them. It's like, you made 2 payments on $500 payment house, and you should keep it? And you put how much money down? No money down. How many payments you make? 2. What are your payments? $600. Oh, so you should keep a $600,000 house because you paid $1,200 on it. Is that what I'm cashing from you? Well, my husband got the hard times, I got the hard times, the kids got diarrhea, the dog has bad breath. Look, did you pay for the house or did you pay for the house? Well, all the money's spent. Okay, you know what? Somebody laid out $1 million to build that thing, and you think you should just walk away free and clear because you signed your name on a piece of paper? And that's why I said, if everybody just starts saying, yes, we should all just walk away, if you just walk away with, paying pennies on a dollar, nobody's going to loan money anymore to the United States. They're going to say, we're not paying off on our debts. And we got 1 billion people in China and 1 billion people in India. They'd be more than glad to pay 20% interest to live in a McMansion. They'd be more than glad to put their children to work to pay off this debt. The United States, they don't want to pay off their debts. You know what? We don't need to deal with them no more. And that's why I say, too, if people go borrow money from a banker, I've never seen bankers other than, like, It's a Wonderful Life. And Jimmy Stewart was portrayed as a good banker. Almost every banker in every movie that I've ever seen is evil. He's the incarnate of the devil. He's portrayed as an evil man who always throws little ladies out of their homes. Yet you people, when you need money, you go make a deal with the devil. You go make a deal with the banker. And I said, you didn't go into town and look up the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. you look for the banker. And why did you ever think that you're making a deal with a banker? It's going to be happy. It's like, why did you borrow money first from your family? It's because your mama wouldn't lend you a dime because she knows she'll never see you again, and she likes to see her grandkids every now and then. So she's not going to loan you any money because she knows if she loans you money, she's going to have to chase you around planet Earth to get it back. Why don't you get it from your friends? Huh? They know you even better than your mama does. Why don't you borrow from your coworkers? Yeah, right. You got to be kidding. They know you're going to get fired next week. They know you're not good for your money. You're not going to be able to pay up. So you got to go to the banker. So if he's gambling, then you're going to pay on the debt. And everybody's going to say, oh, well, it's all fiat currency. That's right. It's all based on faith. And once the credit rating of a country goes down, that's why it's so important for these schools that have these aptitude tests for these children and for them to get incredibly high grades, because then it shows the potential earning income of future generations. So they're going to set the credit rating or the interest rate based upon the competency or the test scores of children. Like in 10, 20 years from now, they're going to, take out loans, bonds, or whatever. And if we're ranked 81st in math and 112 in, English writing skills, well, obviously, we're not going to have a very good credit rating because the ability for those children to become professionals are pretty slim compared to them being equal to people who are capable of boxing a shelf at Walmart or mowing a lawn. So obviously, our credit rating is going to go down, and we're not going to get, international funds. So, like I said, just like a Pete Hendrickson guy, is if they don't know how to get in and out of court, because one day, no matter what they're trying to do, I don't care if you're trying to teach people how to get traffic tickets or how to deal with jaywalking or spitting on a sidewalk or divorce or anything, if you don't know the basic simple concepts of what a court is, who or what is moving the court, is it a who or is it a what moving this court, am I appearing as a who or a what, if you don't know the rules of the game and you're going to try to help people with IRS or bankruptcy or anything like that, eventually you're going to be called into the court. And eventually they're going to be called into court. And you have to know how to move through the court. Forget that you know everything about the IRS. Forget about all the rules about IRS rules. So what? Now you're in a new setting. Now you're in a court setting. It doesn't matter what the IRS rules are anymore. Now you have to know how to move that court. So, like I said, it's extremely important to know how to act in public or act in court, because this is just the system we have, and it's a skill that people aren't learning, or they're not teaching their children. So, hey, am I on the air anymore?
Yes, you're still on. There's a lot of people that are have their hand up. There's 4 people waiting. I have laryngitis. There's 4 people waiting to ask you questions.
Just talk to me. Don't worry if I'm on the air or not. Just tell me. Okay. Oh, no, I was talking, saying this, if there was anything that we were talking about this week that he really thought was interesting, that you guys would like to, because he's here and I'm trying to help him, with his case. He's got an extremely serious case, serious, amount of jail time he's looking at. So obviously he didn't want to just do it on the phone with me anymore because it's ridiculous to try to catch me on the phone. And so he just said, I'm going to come down here for a week and, sit by my left hip and just talk to Carl like crazy. And what I'm basically doing is like you see on TV, like I was doing with him earlier, saying, look, I'm coaching you. It's like, well, like a TV, the authorities say, when you go to court, you go before the judge, okay, like I say to certain people, cry. Cry. No, not boo-hoo. No, don't bawl like that. No, just cry. Just like an onion under your eye. Make believe there's an onion under your nose and just let one teardrop fall out. There you go. It's acting. You're putting on a performance. It's just a show. It's the gloves don't fit. You must have quit. It's just a joke. It's total. I said that's when if you have to go before a jury. I said, and if you go before the judge, you still got to put on an act. The judge is going to look for very simple things, little nuances in your demeanor and your manner. Like if you treat people like the judge and your honor, if he says to you something like, take off that hat, or he tells you to sit over there, or if he starts talking to you like that. It's like you say, excuse me, sir, you mean please? Is there a please? Did you say please take off my hat? Did you say please go sit over there? Do you realize that there's a man present? Do you realize what I am and who I am? You know, you just go sit over there, and you do it. They got jurisdiction over you. Say take off the hat. Excuse me? Are you dressing me? Is that the way you dress every man? You just walk around town and say, you point to some man and say, take off that hat? You tell women, hey, take off that dress? Is that the way you address your fellow man? And the judge would be like, what? What? It's like, sir, you know I'm a man, right? See, so all you guys want to do all these notices and say, oh, I'm a man, da, da, da. Well, fucking act like one. How about try to act like one? Instead of saying da, 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 then the judge will just say, sit down, or take off the hat, or go sit over there. Well, I thought you just said you were a man. Yeah, well, now you're just a little bitch. Because he just told you to do that. Oh, he's a little puppet. And now you just did because he told you to take off the hat and sit over there. It's like, oh, yeah, we're really going to fan over you. Yeah, really. Just because you say it, it's a lifestyle. You got to act it. Now that you said it, perform. Now that you said it, do it. Oh, the judge says, I said it was funny, Jeff, all week long, it was funny. We were coming up with new ways to say something or do something in court. I said, look, this isn't a one-trick pony. Just wing it. If it's an old white judge or a young cutie pie woman judge or a Jewish lady or a Hispanic gay-looking lady, you have to improvise. It's not going to work with everybody. So you got to. The other way we did with the judges is say, you did your spiel saying, I'm a man and I'm president of court, da da da, and the judge said, yeah, great, sit down and pick up your hat. It says, hat? What hat? Are you talking about my property? What? Are you trying to tell another man what he can and cannot do with his property? Is this a public building? What's that?
One of the things that was cool was when you had man and person, and then how the words down the column parallel connected.
Oh, yeah, the connection between man and person, how they almost like flow. Right.
Yeah.
What we're saying is how the legal system has their words and the words of man run parallel, but it's just a little tiny bit different. You know, where you say, well, I'm a man. It's like, well, you're a person. And people don't really distinguish the two because you're led to believe that word man and person were like, synonyms. And honestly, they're in law, in good law, there is no synonyms. It can't be ambiguous. It has to be precise. It's like the law of gravity or something like that. You might deny, that you might say that the law of gravity is infringing on your rights or your sovereign abilities, but you're still going to be held to, and you're going to be bound by that law of gravity, regardless of how much you protest or file a motion saying that it's interfering with your sovereign rights or your God-given rights, because you're not sovereign. Because sovereign means you possess God-like qualities, and if you are truly sovereign, like God is, the law of gravity does not abide to him. He can't be. He's not held by the same set of laws that we are. So when people say I'm sovereign, I laugh at them because there is no such thing in my capacity, my belief system, of me ever calling myself a sovereign until I possess godlike qualities, because that's what a sovereign is. Something that the laws do not apply to a sovereign. So obviously the laws of gravity apply. Because somebody said that about the laws of gravity, and that's what I try to tell people all the time. You would try to say you're sovereign. Well, truly you're not, because there are laws of nature. You will die. You will hit the ground when you fall. You can't try to avoid the inevitable for as long as you wish, but you're all bound by certain laws. And the way it is always portrayed on the national media is that we're running around the world. And Jimmy Carter got cancer the other day, and he was saying, like, the biggest achievement he ever did was spread, like, democracy around the world. And I'm like, holy cow, so you're the one liable for all this nonsense going on? That 51% are going to kill the 49% because they voted on it? So the 49% die or get everything taken away from them because the 51% voted against the 49%? But that's what a democracy is. It's mob rule. And instead of like somebody like me who's like, hey, we should have anarchy. Oh, anarchy. Oh, we were all trained and conditioned in school that anarchy is a horrible, evil word. No. Anarchy means we're all equal, that there is nobody that reigns above us. There's not a king. There's not a legislative branch. There's not a dictator. We are all self-governing. There is nobody that governs us. We self-govern. Anarchy doesn't mean mayhem and chaos and murder. You know what means chaos, mayhem, and murder? Chaos, mayhem, and murder. Anarchy is a completely, every word stands alone. But the media or public school will try to convince you that anarchy means chaos, murder, and death. And they'll teach you that democracy means love, joy, beauty, women's rights, rights for the disenfranchised, race, religion, sexual orientation. No, it's not. It's mob rules. When 51% can control the 49, guess what's going to happen? The 49 is going to be stripped of everything because the 51, guess what? They're called human beings. And they're greedy, average, gluttonous, and they couldn't have one day a bit of concern for the people who are not like them. They have no compassion or pity. And they're going to take everything away. Because why? Because they're the entitled ones. So, like I said, we just talk about stuff like that this week too. I don't want to talk about this case, but it's basically a right to privacy issue, and it basically has to do with beliefs. Like, what do you believe you saw? Oh, I believe I saw space aliens. Are you sure that wasn't a hologram? What? Are you sure that's not just like some sort of hologram? The government's just messing with you. Well, it could be, but no, I saw those space aliens for sure. Well, would it surprise you if I showed you that it's just zeros and ones that you saw, that it was just a digital image, that it was only like a certain wavelength, a spectrum of light, would that convince you if I could manifest it here today, if I could recreate it? And then when you do it, it's like, holy cow, I guess that's all it was. Yes, there was no Martians, nobody was harmed, nobody was injured in the making of that hologram, there's no damage. So where does your case lie now? When there's no injured, harmed, or, damaged party, where does it lie? I don't think you have a case. So you want to rethink it? Or do you want to take this to trial, and I'll put on this show in an open court? So like I said, sometimes you want to take it to trial and get it into an open court. Sometimes you just want to nip it in the bud, and like with Gus, before the judge said, no, we're going to hold this over for a felony. We're going to send this over for an indictment at the grand jury level. And thank God the next day the prosecutor just said, no, well, I'm not taking this to the grand jury. As a matter of fact, I'm going to dismiss this. We're done. So that's what I try to do, is try to explain to them before even having to teach people how to go to court. It's like, well, this is how you perform. This is what you say. This is what you don't say. How about we just write some letters? And how about we just show them that by taking this into an open court, how their claim or their case will not prevail? How about we just show them in a form of writing and explain to them? Because who was I writing a letter for this week? Remember that guy called me? It was a great damn letter. Oh, was it the Canadian guy? Oh, we were laughing our asses off. The lady said, we can't reply anymore. Respond. Oh, respond. Please respond. Please respond within like 30 days. So please respond. And she was basically threatening to play, please respond in 30 days or we may seek legal action. I said, go get the word respond out of the dictionary. Send it to her. Said, how many different variations of the word define exist in the dictionary? It's like 4. I said, good. Send her the word respond from the dictionary and ask her which one of these 4 definitions of the word response that she wants you to respond in a timely manner to, because if you respond in a manner in which she doesn't, recognize as a proper response, she's going to move this into a court, and please ask her to respond as soon as possible, and like circle what you believe the word respond means, and tell her, can you please do it, in a timely manner, and if she does not respond in a timely manner to clarify the word respond, that you are going to move this into an open court, and you're going to seek compensation for, loss of, time or, harm or injury. We're going to make up something. it was just funny how we were spinning it back on them and saying, oh, if you don't respond in a timely manner, we are going to seek legal action. I was like, okay, well, define respond. How do you wish me to respond? In the written language, in verbal communications, in smoke signals. There's 4 definitions for the word respond. Which way would you wish me to respond? I said, this is what I'm trying to teach people, is just have fun with this. Keep writing letters back and forth. And that way, they can't never move you into an open court, because all you're doing is getting clarification of their letter. That you're trying to communicate with them, but you don't see or understand where they're coming from. And you're just trying to act in a civil, competent manner. You're not doing all this hate nonsense, because I forgot what he first said. It was all ridiculous. You know, like cease and desist and all that. But no, have fun with their letter. He says, well, they said they won't respond anymore in the written form, that everything they want to do is through the telephone, because they're getting very frustrated with the letters. So I said, guess what? Let's do this for fun. I bet you if you send them a letter saying, like, Dear Jane, I got your letter saying that you no longer communicate in a written form. How do you wish to respond from now on, you know, from here henceforth, for I do not have access to a phone at my disposal, you know, and how other forms of communication do you wish to convey thought? Do you wish to do it by cable or telegraph or smoke signals? And if it is smoke signals, what do we do at night or on cloudy days? You know, just be a goofball. You know, because she said, you know, on a phone, I don't appreciate you playing games with me. And all he was doing was being literal. And it drives them nuts. She says, you know what the answers I want to hear. I said, well, then just tell, if you already know the answers that you want to hear from me, why don't you just say you had a phone call with me and just write the damn answers down anyway? You know? So he went, obviously, to one lady, to another lady, to a supervisor, you know, so they kept moving him around on the phone, because nobody got what they would say is a straight answer. You're not playing a game. You're supposed to say you're a Canadian citizen, not just say define citizen. You know, define Canadian. You know, I believe I'm a man. Do you believe I'm Canadian? I believe I'm a man. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen a Canadian. Now, what actual Canadian am I? Am I Canadian maple syrup? Am I Canadian footwear? Am I Canadian flag? Just what Canadian am I? Can you define what type of Canadian I am?
Bacon.
Yeah, bacon. Yeah. Canadian beer. You know, whatever. Canadian. You know, Canadian what? You know, so it's pretty funny. You know, so let's just have fun with the letters for a while.